Hi, everybody. This is David Oleski with the Rittenhouse Square Fine Art Show 5 o'clock Club live, broadcasting from the home office in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Today we have Tanya Kirouac as our special guest. Really quickly, the upcoming show, June 6th and 7th and 8th, hard to imagine it being so sunny and warm, but it's going to be in June. The application is open. The deadline for the application for the June show is January 13th. That's less than a month away. And that's on zapplication.org. That's the word application with a Z.org. So again, the dates are June 6th, 7th, 8th. The deadline for the application is January 13th. And the application for the September show is also open right now as well. So while you're at it, go ahead and apply to both. Make sure you're in Philadelphia for the Rittenhouse Square Fine Art Show, only the greatest show on earth. So here's my guest is coming up here, and everybody, the whole gang is here. Wow, this is fun. So bringing. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, David.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is. Last time we saw you was during the great lockdown years.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's
Yeah.
what gave me all of this.
So everything's changed since then.
Yes,
Yeah, 4 years
thankfully.
later, the sun's shining, and then we survived it. So
We survived that.
we survived that. Yeah, there's still other things we're trying to survive right now, but
Yeah, we won't
yeah,
talk.
yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So how long have you done the Rittenhouse Square Fine Art Show?
Um, well, I've only been doing art fairs for the past 9 years, and I believe Rittenhouse was one of the first ones that I did. So that was in So it's 8 years ago, 8.5 years ago. So I've been doing spring and fall pretty much since then. I was coming from Canada at the time. I was living in Toronto back then. So,
Right.
and the show came highly recommended by a couple of Canadian artists who do
Oh,
the show.
yeah, we love our Canadian artists.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, about 8.5 years I've been doing it. I started with a fall show, I think. Yeah.
Great. So obviously, it's a good show for you, worth coming back to.
Definitely. And even then, crossing the border is a bit of a challenge, but it was always worth it. Um, and I learned, how much I love Philadelphia. So it's definitely.
That was my next question. What do you love about the show and the city?
Um, so from the beginning, I mean, appreciating the show being an originals only show. I mean, people talk about that all the time. It being fine art specifically, like, and I don't, you never want to offend anybody, but it's sometimes really nice to be the main event at a show where you're not competing with other things. It's just not that time. It's not even, there's not even, people have a hard time understanding what the show looks like, that it's actually not a closed down street. It's, around a park, there's buses and cars and lots of activity, and it's
Yeah,
it's vibrant.
no,
you know
there's that. No, there's no music stage. There's no
Exactly.
there's no distractions. There's no background noise.
No, and other than, honking,
Well, there
a
there
lot
is
of
that.
it.
Trees falling.
Okay, we were going to get to that, I knew eventually.
We'll come back to
The
that.
cracking
But
sound, yes. Yes. So,
so do you get to spend a lot of time in the city while you're in town for the show?
well, that's definitely one of the things that I love doing. As I always stay at an Airbnb. I love staying in those old brownstone buildings along this. Whenever I go to a show, I try to stay where I can walk to
Right.
to the show back and forth and just enjoy the environment and immerse myself in it. So definitely one of that. The last time I was here uh, was an amazing weekend. It was actually one of the best weekends I've had in Philadelphia since I've been coming here. Um, I mean, a lot of people know my life changed significantly this year. And it was, but something else changed too, just like actually like being more engaged with other people, like new friends, old friends, it's an amazing community that we're a part of, So this past fall, I stayed in this beautiful Airbnb. It was amazing, walking, it was right on Walnut. Actually went out, did stuff outside of the little bubble that I usually stay in, which isn't
Right.
right around, so that was really exciting. There's so much to do in this city. There's so much to eat and drink and experience.
Oh
It's
yeah.
yeah. So, you know, um, made a lot of new friends, just had an amazing time. A friend of mine already talked about some of the stuff that we did. People knew I was having fun because my neighbor would be like, on Sunday morning, I show up. I'm not the first person to have my tent open like usual. They're just laughing at me. They're like, "What were you doing last night?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't wait to get to the downtown. I mean, it's close enough I can commute from home, but we
Okay.
try to stay one night in the city just to be on the streets and just be really connected with that rhythm of seeing the day close and the next morning start up. And it's as charming as any major city, right, in the middle of it all to watch it wake up in the morning.
Well, and yeah, and that's what I like to do usually. Is like go to one of the so there's an amazing bagel place right around the corner on 21st, I
Mm.
think. Go get a bagel. It's called the Spreadery, I think. I'm from Montreal. I like bagels.
Well, you
But I tend
actually have a request. Can we come live with you in Canada when the world crumbles?
I told you, Will, I'm going to be auctioning off marriage proposals and adoptions very soon. And yes, you can.
Yeah,
At least I have
there's a
that.
bunch and there's a bunch of shout outs for Philadelphia. One person saying Philly, Philly, represent, and then a fun fact: Philly was designated the most walkable city in the United States. That's by our honorable chairperson Sharon Strine.
Hi,
Um,
Sharon.
yeah,
I
so
mean, it is though, and that was the thing. Like, yes, I usually stay pretty close. I'm usually staying either on Spruce or like one of the streets just that rings the park, right?
yeah.
And I don't usually go too far, but last time I was there, I realized once I was with some maybe I'm being alone is not as it's not as fun to go to these kinds of places. We went to like a hi Sharon, we went to Speakeasy, and I wouldn't do that by myself. So it was really great to go out with other people, and have an amazing time. And if you guys haven't been there, it was so cool. Craig already talked about it, Midnight in the Wicked, and it's like this series of vaults and stuff. And the funny thing was, by the time we were leaving, that's when the young people came. It was like midnight, and they opened up another vault at the back of the building, and that was where the disco was. And it was like, okay,
and all
yeah,
these
this place is
and all the young
wild.
people are just getting started.
Yeah, they're just getting started.
Like,
Oh,
funny thing, the police officer that arrested Justin Timberlake for driving drunk in Sag Harbor, he was too young to know who Justin Timberlake was.
I hate when that happens. And then he shouldn't have been allowed to arrest them then.
Yeah, there should be a cut-off point. You have to be old enough to
You know,
appreciate
if
people,
you don't
but
know
we
who I
don't
am,
even
you
know.
can't arrest me. Yeah.
Yeah, they're too young for us to know who they are. So they're like within that border.
Um, but that was the thing though. Once I walked a little bit, about a couple of blocks, I don't know north or south there. I never can figure it out. Left, right, couple blocks, and a few blocks that way. Next thing you know, you're in this like there's just restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, and I was like, oh my goodness, what have I been missing? But I mean, I still love the stuff right there, like park.
Right.
Like as I sat there watching my friends set up their booth while I was eating mussels and drinking wine, I thought, should I go help? I don't know.
No, there's got to be a reward
No.
for getting it done.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't spend your life in endless charity for everything. But no, I know what you mean. You feel, it's like we get there early, get set up, and everybody's, still getting set up. And it's like they know what they're doing. Take a step back, give them room.
And most people don't want help. You know,
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want help. It would take twice as much energy to tell somebody what to do as opposed to just get it done.
right. Unless they're another artist who already, as far as the tent goes, yeah, I'd always take help with that. But I'm so used to doing it by myself that it's just like, you just, unless it's raining or something, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. So,
I mean, I always do the 5 o'clock broadcast during Thursday setup, and I know that a lot of those people, just not even being near them is help enough.
right.
I'm obviously I've got the selfie stick, and I'm just jabbering about anything, and I walk into their booth, and you could just hear the deep breath and the sigh, like, "Oh, just leave." But
Nobody hates
all
more
in good
than,
fun.
yeah, the person who starts to chat with you while you're either setting up or tearing down, and you're like, please go away. I
Yeah,
love you, but
most
not right
seasoned
now.
artists know that. They just
Most.
wave and say, "See you later in the weekend," and but then if it's a customer that's talking to you, well,
That's
then
different.
fine, drop everything. That's
What's
different.
up, everything? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Anything for a sale.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, you probably have, some great recommendations of where people should be going to eat. So, what's your favorite restaurants? Let's go ahead and do some name dropping.
Um, well, we went to this little sushi place, which I am actually, I don't go to sushi because I have a bad allergy, but it was actually really good because they always have they always have vegetarian stuff. But we had so much fun, too much fun. I'd never been in a sushi restaurant, so I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to laugh. But anyways, it was still really good. So that's right around the corner. It's just on 21st, I think.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
bad with
I know that place. Yeah, that place is great.
yeah,
Tiny place. Yeah.
yeah. There's lunch or dinner or whatever. There's another place right across from the Metropolitan Bakery. I mean, that's amazing for lunches and things like that. The heck's it called? Marathon. Anyways, that one's
Marathon
really,
Grill.
yeah, Marathon Grill. That's pretty good. I mean, Park's a go-to.
Park is epic.
It's just you know you're gonna get something great to eat
Right,
there.
right. And then the bread they send home with you, and it's just
Oh,
fantastic.
I'm one person and they give me all this bread. I'm
I
like,
know, I know. You
I'm
feel
like,
so loved. So here we have a question. Sharon says your art is as distinctive as your laugh. Talking about laughing during sushi, but the question is, how did you develop your style? Which I was going to ask that because it's very distinctive style, and I think I studied your work for a long time, and I just it escapes me even understanding how you got to that point.
so the last time I did the interview with you, I had just started doing this style. Because of COVID, because I had had an outside studio, like a building rented out, a whole space, lots of room, lots of ventilation. And of course, once I had, like everyone else, there was no more work, right? So I had to give up the space and move in the house. And I was working with encaustic, if you remember. So, which is, hot wax and hot plates. And so you need to like, it's not toxic in itself. It's only if it burns that it actually becomes formaldehyde gas.
Right,
So you need to make sure you can get that because it happens. You walk away, it gets too hot all of a
right.
sudden, and. Um, so I move into like the attic of a house, and it's a certain amount of space, and I have furry creatures. If anybody didn't meet him yet, this is Pants. This guy's running around.
Nice.
So the thought was hot wax, cats. I mean, I can't do anything without him being next to me. So it's like, well, maybe it's just time for a change. Everything else is changing, why not? And I had a lot of free time to work on something new. Um, and so I had painted with oils in the beginning. When I first started painting, it was with oils, and I did mostly like I started with doing figurative work, which is really interesting. But so I was really familiar with oil and how it worked. But what I wanted to kind of try and experiment with was finding a way to. I mean, I love encaustic, the layering and the. I mean, it's so versatile. It's layering, and I would carve it. Um, so I wanted to figure out how I could kind of do that using oil paint. That was my goal. Um, so I had already used cold wax. So, and that's a medium that it's just a medium that you add to oil paint. It's not, you shouldn't use just that. It's an impasto medium. That's all it is.
Right.
And it's like depending on how hot it is, it's almost like mashed potatoes or butter icing. Like it's very creamy, and you just mix a little bit into your paint. But what it does is it adds a little bit of body. It changes the drying time. And anyway, so I started just playing with that and figuring out how to layer it on because it has to be all wet from start to finish. Like it cannot dry. So that's
Right.
the because I layer it on. So layering on oil is, not necessarily easily successfully found solution. So, and I use a palette knife. I don't use brushes.
Right.
Um, so I kind of like I'm troweling it on, trying to, not make a mess, and then doing it one painting at a time because it can't, like I said, it has to be wet. So layering it
Right.
on and then carving it back off, exposing the colors that were layered underneath.
Right.
Um, so, which is a lot easier to do with encaustic because you paint it cools, it's easy.
Right.
Um, but then once I got the hang of it, it was like, okay, I'm gonna have some fun now, So I do some similar things as far as subject matter, but it changed everything completely. The colors that I use, the vibrancy, the energy in it. So because it's done in a certain time frame, it has to be done relatively quickly, and nobody wants to tell people that. But the faster a painting usually happens for me,
Yeah.
the better it usually is.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Everybody says, how long does
how
this
long does
take?
it take?
It's like,
If you
yeah, it
knew
just
you would.
depends. It depends who I'm talking to. If you're trying
Yeah.
to, place a value on it to buy it, oh, it's forever.
Well, people,
You know,
yeah, people get judged though. Like their worth at a job is based by how many hours they
right.
work. They're trying to figure out how many hours, like how many hours did it take, and you're charging this for how many hours. Like, that's their, those people usually aren't buyers anyways. Those are just
Right.
here.
So what I'm wondering is how much is your material dictate how you paint, or have you completely forced and controlled the material to be what you want?
It can control me depending on the weather. Um, if I walk away too long and I let something dry too long and then it starts to get a skin on it. So it's in charge in certain things. Because if it's really hot, um, then it's oil dries much quicker.
Right.
Or if it's humid, it'll go slower. And then sometimes it's not going fast enough, like now the heat's on. So actually I'm having to do this in a day. Like I don't have, or freeze
Right.
my butt off.
Yeah.
Um, so I can figure it out. Sometimes some scenarios are easier than others. In the summer with air conditioning, it's weird. So
Yeah.
no, it does have, yeah, it can dictate definitely how. I mean, I can get it there, but I have to be very aware of all of those things.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So what's on your easel now?
Uh, that was today. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the other one is a previous. I just pulled out, so I just had it. So I moved recently, right? As we all know. And so I now am painting in my living room.
Yeah.
So these were actually all stacked away, put away. I painted all the edges, preparing for the spring season. So I just dragged them out and leaned them all up here. They're usually not out here.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still oil. It'll take a while to dry enough that I can put it somewhere safe. So the easel's
Right.
usually the
So
safest
there's this
place with
staging where it has to set up and dry, and then it can be framed and goes into a different stack.
exactly, with fur balls and stuff floating around. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a cat, but he's not in this part of the building, so I don't have that fur problem. But
Right.
so
I
okay, my big thing I'm constantly trying to work with is what I'm envisioning and what I'm able to do are always, without fail, two different things.
yes.
How closely are you getting to what you're envisioning?
I don't have a strong vision. I usually have an idea of what. I want to do that day. And it changes depending on the mood. And it's usually inspired by something I've seen or just, I go for a walk or whatever, and I get inspired by the mood of the day, or I start talking to someone about something. So, yesterday I was painting more of, one of those sort of watery pieces because that's how I felt.
Oh,
This is usually like I'll start to put things down and get an idea, and then a lot of times it'll paintings will take me somewhere else. It's like a
right. The process will lead you.
yeah, and I let it because I think it works best when I'm not trying to be too specific.
Interesting. In the winter, when things slow down, I keep envisioning having more control. I keep imagining, oh, this is my chance to really just muscle down and
Yeah, I'm gonna.
make this do what I want. But reality is, you follow the process and you trust the process.
Yeah, and it usually works. I mean, they don't all work. That's the
Well,
thing.
there,
They're
yeah,
not all.
there is that.
eh,
It's, you know,
It's not all perfect. So, and maybe we're only the only ones who see that, but that's
that's all
yes,
part of it, right? Well,
that's fine.
what comes easily to us looks like genius to other people, and even our mistakes are just look like mysteries. And
Yeah, yeah. And mistakes, the whole happy mistake thing. And actually, there is something to be said about that because I try to learn from if I'm doing something and it's not going well, then why? What am I doing that's not working? Um, and you don't always find it. Sometimes it's just your day, your mood, you're rushing or you're taking too long. I mean, sometimes when you're overworking something, like this one, I went back to start doing stuff, and I was like, stop,
oh yeah,
just
well,
stop.
for me, the big thing is to say, this is not the last piece I'm going to do. Whatever I
Yeah,
learned here, I'll use that on the next piece.
exactly. Yeah. And I'll paint over stuff if it's just not, and then all that texture adds to a whole other level of, well, what am I going to find here?
So
So yeah.
a question came up. Do you guys ever use AI reference your own photos? So that's questions for both of us. I'll go first here. AI standing for artificial intelligence. I wouldn't say I use any intelligence reference for what I'm doing. And even if I did, I'm sure it would invent something either better than what I would do or completely outside of what I would do, which is neither one is what I want to do.
The whole idea of AI is something that I wish never existed. Artificial is the word, right? Who wants artificial in their art? I mean, it should all be coming from here and just be natural. So, occasionally I'll look at a photo and that inspires me to remind me of somewhere, but there's nothing about that photo that I'm trying to replicate because that's what I mean. When I started painting, I did that. That's how you learn. Where to put the darks and the lights and all of that.
Right,
But now doing that makes me little. It's so limiting because now I'm trying to do something. So so as much as I'm inspired by the things and places I've been, I might see a photo or going through photos and say, oh, yeah, that's so beautiful. I want to remember that. But no, I don't want to hold a photo there and try to copy it. I feel like it's just not my thing, you
right,
know.
right. And I think, you know, trying to map it out ahead of time in any way kind of belies what it is we do.
Yeah, you would lose the spontaneity and the looseness and the energy. I think my work has a lot of energy, and I feel it would stagnate that whole process because I wouldn't just like be marking and moving and taking paint off. It would be trying to copy something, which
Right. And like at one point I thought about doing small versions of the abstracts as like maquettes.
yeah,
But invariably, you wouldn't know how it carries until it was larger.
right,
And scaling it larger isn't just blowing up everything, it's blowing up the movements, the quantities, the tools.
right.
This is a revelation I had with the interview with Craig Terry, as far as him talking about this, his inspirations and processes. And it just occurred to me that, it's, what if I want to get closer to what I'm envisioning, everything needs to be scaled up, including the workspace, all the surfaces, the mixing surfaces, and especially the tools.
The tools.
So there's no
Yeah.
miniature version that could give you a preview of what larger would be.
No, no, because all of your strokes, all of your lines, everything would have to grow,
Right.
right? So like all of your tools would change. Yeah. Funnily enough, I use the same one stupid little palette knife for everything. Um, but I don't, and I'm doing small work. It's actually to me an impossible thing. I do some, but it's like I gotta like work on it for 2 seconds and then just walk away because you start getting into it too much and you just ruin them. I mean, it's a lot harder to do a small piece than a big one, if you ask me.
Tell me, I'm right in the very end stretch of doing these little tiny pieces
Yeah,
for,
I see your posts. Yeah, the
yeah,
minis, right?
yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like, it's really hard, and I'm hitting the wall. I mean, I did two cool ones today. I'm excited about, but I'm so anxious to just unleash and go big.
Yeah. Oh, I can't like that would yeah, I would have to do some big ones in between because but you probably don't have time. You're doing so many of them. Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to get them all done, and I'm thinking of just ending early and just say, I got to be free, and this is a
I
statement.
can't do this. I can't do this.
Yeah, I got to be me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah. Um, and you know, the it's Craig's work is inspiring because of the materials, like I use the same materials just in different subject matters, and the idea of experimenting with materials has always been really exciting to me. And that's why I did like encaustic so much because it had a lot of possibilities.
Right.
I
So, Sharon just put the question in, are there artists either from history or contemporary that have taught or inspired you?
me um uh all the time. Back when I first started learning how to paint, so that would have been around so let's step back. Um I was an illustrator and a designer, right? So I learned how to draw. I drew from when I was really young, all through my life. That's what we talked about. I'll say it. I used to do like when I was 10 years old, people would trust me to do murals on their walls in their children's room, They would just I would just show up with the paint and I would just do it and then they'd make me a milkshake and I'd be happy, you know. Just friends of friends. So I was always drawing. And it was actually my father wanted to be an illustrator. He wanted to be a cartoonist. But he couldn't, family, jobs, whatever. He never was never able to pursue that. So when I was little, he was always, buying me books on illustration, how to draw, how to draw, how to draw. So it was like forever I thought I was going to be in animation because that was sort of my um and the high school mural. Thank you, Adriana. That's a girl that went to high school. Yes. um so he always wanted me to do what he couldn't, I suppose. So that's why I went to school to be an illustrator. Um, and at the time, it didn't really, illustration was a dying thing because of not while I was in school, to give my age away, the computer had just, the first Mac had just come out. So it
Oh,
changed everything.
yeah.
Um, and it changed illustration, and nowadays, I mean, good luck. So a lot of my background was really like mechanical drawing and things like that. So when I went to school, I was inspired by all of the teachers I had. They were so talented. I had one teacher who was actually one of the original designers on the Volkswagen Bug, like things like that. Yeah. So all along, there's always been somebody wonderful, out there to inspire and give you ideas and make, propel you forward. Um, as far as currently, so when I started painting, so I had been graphic design for so long, and the computers. This is why when I talk about AI, I'm like, oh my God, give me a break. The thing I wanted to do the most was get off the
Right.
computer, because it's this box that it's got a lot of possibilities, but it was very restrictive. Um, Also, I had to do what other people told me, so I didn't like that very much. Um,
Right.
um, so I took some painting classes, and that teacher was extremely inspiring. She was successful, and she just gave everything, all the info you wanted. So I give her a lot of credit for um, teaching me just like just painting the edges of your canvases. After you're done, like simple stuff like that. She was just wanting to
Right.
share about going to getting into galleries and doing all this stuff.
Right.
So I mean that was exciting. So when I started painting, I was inspired by the Monets and the Renoir, like all the stuff that I was taking classes at an art gallery, the AGO in Toronto, which is a wonderful art gallery. I don't know if you've ever been there. The facade was redesigned by Frank Gehry about probably 15 years ago.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so they bring you on tours. They have this like a vault filled with drawings from Leonardo da Vinci, and they would bring them out and put them on like little easels in front of you, the originals that you could like study and look at. So all of those historic people were definitely mind-blowingly inspiring. But then as you go along, I was an illustrator, so anyone who does watercolors blows my mind. Uh, but the masters were less inspiring that way. A lot of times it would be people that I met, you know, who were just successful, contemporaries, I suppose, at the time, even though I was really a newbie. Even in Toronto, like there was just some people that just you would see their work and it was just blow your mind. So there was never just one person, it was always a succession of people, the newer, and still today, meeting people. I love contemporary work. I love people who actually do and sell. I think that's really important. Like live artists. So yeah, that was a long answer to your question. Sorry there.
Well, no, but it's very telling. I mean, I think a lot of our inspirations aren't directly the artwork itself, but I don't know, their approach, their philosophy, their sense of freedom makes you reapproach what you do differently without just emulating what they've done, but more what you've learned from them.
Right. What I mean, just doing this, like being like giving somebody the inspiration to, yeah, you can go and travel around the country and sell your work and do awesome, like, and you know, we have an amazing community that we share this life with. It's they've been super wonderful to me, especially over this past year. And it's inspiring in the way that we deal with each other, the way we take care of each other, the way we share with each other. I've had some, it's been an interesting year. And everyone has been super supportive and super amazing. Even in some of the weirdest times, yeah, like trees falling on my booth. I'm sure
Well,
you heard
yeah.
me together.
Right when you think nothing else could go wrong.
Just when your life completely falls apart and you're like, are you kidding me? Yeah.
I thought it
But
was funny to see you in a new location and say, what, the tree can't fall again.
I checked. There weren't any really large limbs, just small
Good,
ones.
good. But
But that was it. Everyone came running to my help. Like within, my art, nothing got damaged. It was amazing. My tent got slightly bent, and I actually had some replacement parts, but everyone came running to help. The other artists, the um, husbands of artists, move all my work out of the booth to a safe place next to Sean, tucked away in the corner there.
yeah,
And then the show got moving and getting the park and whoever needed to come and get that off my booth without, the biggest concern was that it was going to get damaged further.
right.
Um, but it didn't. Klaus, so a friend, husband, um, he used to be a lineman, so he came and he was instructing them, and so that because they really didn't know what they were doing, they were trying to get the tree off the booth, and that's all they were trying to do.
Right, right.
um So he was awesome. Without him, I'm not sure how it would have gone down. And then I looked at it from the first photo to the photo when I was back up and running after he and Michael had come, and they replaced the poles and stuff that were bent in my booth without even taking the tent down. Like I still have some of Michael's blood on one of those poles. I thought I never, I'm not going to clean that off. I need to remember this forever. Like how amazing everybody was. Like without hesitation, it took about 4 hours, if you can imagine. I mean, which isn't, yes, Klaus' husband. He was amazing. Rachel Newman's husband.
Yes, I was formerly introduced to Klaus in September, and
He's a lovely man. They're both lovely, lovely
they
people.
really are a charming couple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he
it's a
was
wonderful,
next.
family we have.
Yeah, yeah. And Michael, of course, is Sharon's husband. They've always been there. They've helped me put up my booth in rainstorms, and like it's just wonderful. We're very lucky to be surrounded by all these people and all the new friends that I've made. It's been very special. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Can't wait.
it's
I miss
definitely.
everybody so much.
I know when in the middle of winter, it's so bittersweet just thinking of the friends we miss so much. Like we're probably as far away from the last show of the season as we are from the first shows of the season.
Right, right.
So I
It's
remember those bittersweet goodbyes, and it's getting dark early, and then all the trees are turning, and everybody knows, wow, we're all disappearing, and you don't see each other for 4 or 5 months
months.
now.
I know. Well, that's it. I used to have some good light on me. The sun went down. It's
Yeah, well,
it's
now normally I'm
4:30
getting
here.
blinded by sunlight right from here, but
Yeah.
yeah, pitch black at during 5 o'clock club interview.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I miss everybody. I can't wait to see everybody. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So anybody watching, this should be very telling for you how much aside from the shows and the public. This is our life. We live it and breathe it, and it pushes and pulls us,
Yeah.
and just makes us happen.
It's not just getting out there and selling your work and meeting collectors. I mean, obviously that's our primary motivation, but it's so much more, it makes it so much more beautiful to like have that layer on top of it. And for me, I would talked about a little bit too with you earlier was the traveling. A lot of people like, I can't imagine all of that travel. I'm like, what's part of why I like doing it? Going to all these places and experiencing like Philadelphia. I don't know that I ever would have gone there otherwise. And now I can't wait to go back.
Well,
So
you have your favorite places, even
yeah,
though you might live nowhere near there. You know when you get there, you're going to those favorite places. You already know what you're probably going to
I'm gonna
order on the
order.
menu. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, we're that way with, places in Miami, places in Tampa, in
Yeah.
your
Oh, I love
city,
Tampa.
and just, like anywhere we're going, yeah, there's so much to look forward to. I love starting up the truck and pulling out of the
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah, yeah. And the new places too, like I was telling you that. So I'm doing a couple of new shows in Florida, and then after Miami, which I love Miami and Coconut Grove and Camille, it's just, I'm actually going to pick up and drive to Palm Springs and do the La Quinta show. And it's funny because I was waitlisted for Gasparilla and Winter Park. I was like, well, see, it's calling me, so I'm going. And
Yeah.
the idea of the drive, I know it's crazy, it's long, but I'm excited. Like I can't wait. Like New Orleans and Austin and Marfa and El Paso
Oh,
and there's
yeah,
Tucson
going
and
through
Joshua.
West Texas is just gorgeous. And the big West, the sky opens up, and
And think
oh,
about the
there's,
inspiration for me. I mean, it's going to be like, and then California, I'll probably never want to leave. I've never been there, so I've never been to half of that. So it's
yeah.
going to be really exciting.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
going to love it. It's fantastic. I mean, the whole Southwest is just fantastic.
Yeah. I've only been to Santa Fe briefly once, and I really love that. Um, and then even the drive home, it'll be the same. I probably go to Las Vegas because I've never been there. And then the Grand Canyon. Like, what?
Oh,
You know?
yeah. Have you ever spent time in New Orleans?
Uh, yes. The last time there was a tornado. That's when I was.
Right. Well, you owe yourself time in New Orleans. I mean, that's the main reason I even was interested in doing the show in Houston was for the return trip, stopping in
Right.
New
Yeah.
Orleans.
Yeah. 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 And that's when I did it was went from Winter Park to Houston. And yeah, what a place.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many wonderful places, and we're thrilled that Philadelphia is where we get to do what we do
Yeah.
with the board here.
Yeah.
So, well, this was fun. Thank you so much.
Well, thank
This
you. Yeah.
went really fast.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm surprised at the time too. I've been trying to thank you, Sharon. I can't wait. I can't wait. Yes. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'll see you at Coconut Grove, and I
Yeah.
still have some questions, so we'll have to pick this up then.
Okay. Sure. Absolutely. I'm always open for questions. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank
Thank you.
you for being here again, everybody. Artists, the June show is June 6th, 7th, 8th. 2025. The application is on zapplication.org. It's the word application with a Z. If you're not on it, get on it, figure it out, make your profile, get it up and running. If you have questions, reach out. Everybody's ready to help. The deadline for the application is January 13th. That's the deadline for the June show. And seeing how this might be my last 5 o'clock club before the end of the year, the next one will be really cutting it close for you to wait to be reminded then. So let this be your reminder, everybody. January 13th, get your application in. And everybody have a great holiday and a great
Yeah.
new year.
Happy holidays, everybody. Yeah.
Everybody, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tanya. That was
Bye.
fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it
All
was fun,
right.
David.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.